Today's episode is sponsored by PetFlow. Hey Goose, have a treat. These are Garden of Vegan dog treats from Halo. That's right, vegan dog treats. These smell so much better than the vast majority of dog treats that I've ever smelled before. The Halo Garden of Vegan line includes these treats and this holistic dry and canned vegan dog food. You can actually see the vegetables and peas, carrots and chickpeas, so your dog is actually getting nutritional calories. These are great for dogs who experience allergic reactions to meat-based food, or for people who just want to give their dog a taste of the vegan lifestyle. They're also grain-free, sweet potato, carrot, and quinoa flavor. Clearly, Goose approves. Look, Goose, we also have the peanut and pumpkin recipe too. Let's see what she thinks of the kibble. The Halo Garden of Vegan line of food and treats delivers equivalent essential nutrients to a meat-based diet and is complete and balanced for dogs. You can get the entire Halo Garden of Vegan line of food and treats from PetFlow. You get $10 off your first 3 orders when you set up automatic pet food delivery when you enter code ZAC30. I'm gonna have that link and coupon code in the description below. Click thumbs up for Goose the Lab. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Pick up a copy of my book, Dog Training Revolution. And if you're not following us on Instagram and Facebook, go do it. I'll have a link in the description. If you're like many people, you'll practice things like sit and stay with your dog, and they do fantastic during their regular setup training sessions. I'm not sure what you call this though, Goose. But as soon as something exciting happens, like your dog is in a new environment, especially outside, or maybe you have a guest come over, all of your training just goes out of the window. Today, Goose and I are gonna show you how to fix that. I think. By now you'll know there are 2 main types of training sessions. You have your primary training sessions and your secondary training sessions. Primary training sessions are where you're teaching your dog something new or reinforcing things that they already know in a very structured, deliberate way. So when you think of primary training sessions, think of most of my training videos, for example. In contrast, secondary training sessions are unplanned, and they happen in those times when you're forced to go into train. What, are you humping me? For example, if someone knocks on your door and your dog starts barking, and you're kind of forced to shift into training mode to teach them to sit, stay, and be a good dog. But in order to bridge the gap between primary and secondary training sessions, you're going to have to master the art of the surprise primary training session. This is where you know that a training session is about to happen, but your dog has no clue. That way you can simulate a surprising situation, but since you are fully prepared for it, you can act accordingly and work on teaching your dog how to react when something they don't expect happens. In other words, these surprise primary training sessions really empower you to be one step ahead of your dog so that you can train them in a situation that's more like a real-world situation. I'm gonna take Goose outside and show you some examples of some surprise primary training. Let's start right here at the front door. By far, one of the most important things you can teach your dog is how to stay at an open door that leads to the outside. This could potentially save their life. Goose knows a basic stay when you warm her up and you're working with her and completely focused on her. But the problem with that type of training is that it lacks real-world context. Those types of training sessions are great for introducing a concept, but they're not really great about teaching your dog how to behave in a wide variety of situations when your dog's in that really excited state of mind. So let's see what happens when I open the door here. Stay. Goose just goes right out of the front door. Didn't pay any attention at all to stay in this particular context. So that's very normal at this point in training for a lot of dogs. You can clearly see that she's smelling all around. There's a lot of enticements out there. As with teaching anything with our dog, we always want to start small by making it extra easy when teaching them new skills or anytime we change a variable. In this case, we're not only asking Goose to stay, but we're asking her to stay with an open door that leads to the outdoors, which is very exciting. So, come here, Goose. Sit. Stay. Very good. So she's warmed up with a basic stay. That's good. Oh, did you see how she immediately went to walk out? I don't want that, so I immediately closed the door. There's no need to use force here. I think I need to take a step back and make this even easier. Look at me. Good. Stay. Good. Notice I didn't even open the door there because I want to catch her succeeding. Stay. Just a little bit of a crack that time. Good job. Stay. Look at me. Oh, look at that. Now that's our first real moment of success. I'm gonna go ahead and jackpot her right there to let her know that I like that. For these types of training sessions, you really need to give your dog slow motion rehearsals so that they're more prepared. In other words, don't rely on those organic instances that arise, like the mailman comes to the door and you need to open it, for example. You can see how just taking a few extra minutes here to work with your dog, very slowly explain to them what you want them to do outside of a situation when it's time for you to go or when you're in a hurry, can really be beneficial and pay off. Once your dog understands these skills in context, you must go through an extensive proofing phase where you set up training drills that mimic or exceed real-world instances that your dog is likely to encounter. So far, I've been going in slow motion and making it really easy for Goose, but I think now we can make it a little more enticing for her. Sit, stay. I'm gonna open the door a little more abruptly now. Oh, see, and do you see that? Just by opening the door more abruptly, she's like, whoa, that's different. I don't have to stay in that situation. I haven't been taught how to do that yet. You can correlate the speed at which you open the door with the reliability of her stay, which is interesting. Oh, look, she kind of corrected there, so that was better. Good way to think. I didn't have to pull her back. I didn't have to correct her. She's learning how to reason on her own. I'm gonna make it a little bit easier by doing this, kind of a medium open, closing it. Good job. Stay. Yes, that was a really good one. So I opened the door really urgently there, very fast, and she still held her stay. Go out of your way to simulate situations that are way more exciting than something they might experience in real life. Goose really loves this toy. She's now in an excited state of mind, but I've got to teach her how to stay even when she's excited. This is one of those key things that everyone should work on with their dogs, and it's not as hard as you might imagine. Stay. Okay, good job, nice work. So she'll stay when I, play with a toy right here in the foyer, but what happens if I throw that toy outside? Good. So notice we're getting her to stay with an open door while I bounce the toy around. Good job. I'm being very liberal with my treats right now because this is a lot of new training for her. Now the magic moment here comes when I throw the toy past the threshold. Good job, nice work. Now that Goose has done really well during this training exercise, it's time to start speeding things up. What I'm trying to work towards here is being able to rapidly approach the door, quickly open it, throw a toy out of the front door, and still have her hold that stay. Just give her a reminder. Good job, yes. Come here, Goose, over here. Good, and sit, stay. Oh, good job, Goose. She flinched a little bit there. I'm still gonna reward the effort even though she broke her sit, stay. Sit, stay. Let's see if we can improve that a little bit more. And sit. Good work. Stay. Quickly opening the door. I'm gonna give her a reminder. Stay. Squeak. Throw it out the door. Look at me, please. Excellent job. Sit. Stay. Look at me, please. That's what I'm talking about. Good girl. Okay, let's go. Let's proceed outside and see what else we can surprise her with. When you're outside with your dog, you want to get them in the habit of listening to basic things like sit and look at me really spontaneously and not really giving them a lot of notice. Sit. See, right there, she's like, what do you mean, sit? Why would we sit? I'm on a walk. It's out of context for her, so she's not as prepared for it. Sit. Good, much better. Good job. This way. And sit. Good. So I'm just gonna walk back and forth doing kind of a leash training session with Goose. Come on. In other words, you'll need to get your dog in the habit of taking direction when they're not expecting it in a multitude of different places and situations. So set up situations where you're prepared to enforce the rules, but when they don't see it coming. And I'm gonna randomly reward her because she's doing really well. Remember, it's a good idea to adjust your rate of reinforcement as your dog starts to break new ground or if they struggle. What I mean by that is you would reward more frequently if your dog is struggling. You would reward less frequently if they seem to really understand what's going on and they're very compliant. You can see how if you're on a normal walk and you're really trying to get somewhere, you're probably gonna be pretty impatient. That's why you wanna set up these situations outside of those instances. I see she's distracted by a walker. I'm gonna ask her to sit. Good job. One of the most common things you might encounter on a walk or outside with your dog is stuff on the ground that your dog might want to investigate, but stuff that you'd prefer they leave alone. Sure, many dogs know leave it in a training context, but not in the real world. For example, let's see how Goose does when she encounters some chicken on the ground. That's not exactly what we wanted to happen. Clearly, Goose is very interested in the chicken. So I think we need to take a step back here and show Goose how we want her to behave. I'm gonna take a little piece of the chicken and we're gonna practice a leave it training session with this and then see if we can work up to getting her to leave this alone when we walk past it. But you can see the difference here. When you give your dog notice and you're really preparing them and you're really like low to the ground working with them, they're like, oh, I'll listen to you. It's when they're surprised that we have our issues. All right, I'm gonna put this back in the pile over here. Okay, leave it alone, leave it. And she's thinking, I hear ya, but I don't know if I want to. Leave it. No, ma'am. And see, you see how we're teaching her to think? We're not forcing her, we're not pulling her away from it, but we're getting her to think from the inside out. And because of her foundational training, she's prepared for this type of lesson. The magic moment here is when I get her to walk away from it voluntarily. Leave it alone. Goose, come here. Come on, let's go. Yes, good job. But we still haven't been able to walk past it and have her completely disregard it, which is what I would like to see here. Leave it, look at this. Yes, good girl, you're doing great. Goose has really picked up on this lesson. She's going out of her way to really leave that chicken alone. I think we can make it a little bit harder since she's doing so well. I'm gonna pick up this piece of chicken right here. Now I wanna make it even more enticing than it might be in real life. As we walk, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this big old piece of chicken in front of her and ask her to leave it alone. And she's never experienced this exact training exercise, so we'll see how she does. Yes, good girl, nice job. Goose, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Leave it alone. That is perfect. If you were to just practice this with 1 or 2 different objects, you still would not have long-term success. Bring things with you on a walk that tempt your dog from time to time, like a napkin or a pen or some chicken. The thing I really want you to get from this lesson is that you need to set up lots of training exercises that mimic real-world enticements. This is what it takes to truly break through to the next level on your training. Come on, Goose, let's go. Throwing some pens down, leave it alone. Leave it, good girl. So we have chicken, strawberries, random objects falling from the sky. Click thumbs up for Goose, subscribe to my channel, get your Halo vegan treats from PetFlow, and use my special code ZACH30. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Facebook. We produce lots of extra content. Good work, I'm so proud of you. That was excellent.